Hi guys, I'm firefighter paramedic Laird.
And I'm firefighter EMT Lopez.
And today we're gonna walk you through our station and show you what it's like to be a firefighter, an EMT, a wildland firefighter, and a paramedic. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the EMT. So EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technician. Now, to get your EMT certification, it's about a 3 to 5 month course, and you can take it at your local community college or at a special school that offers EMT type classes. And it'll be a certification, so you go through the class, and then at the end of the class, you take what we call the national certification. So you get your national certification, and then depending on where you live, you'll apply for your state certification. If you get your EMT certs, that's a prerequisite if you want to be a paramedic. It's a prerequisite if you want to be a firefighter. And you can even use it to get some hands-on medical experience before going to nursing school, PA school, even if you want to be a doctor. All right, so as you guys can see, firefighter Lopez is wearing what we would wear on a typical medical call. Now, people think that firefighting is just fighting fires all day long, but unfortunately these days houses are getting a lot safer, so house fires are actually going down. So for most fire departments, about 95% of our call volume is medical calls. So you can see when we go into somebody's house, or if we go into a motor vehicle accident, a motorcycle accident, any type of medical call, we're going to be wearing something similar to this. You can see firefighter Lopez has his gloves on, and he's also wearing his mask to protect him from any airborne viruses or illnesses. Now, this is some of the equipment that you might see us bring into a medical call. We'll bring our gurney, which is going to allow us to get patients to and from their house, into the ambulance, into the hospital. We have what we call our monitor. So when you turn this on, it allows us to take people's blood pressure, to read their pulse, their oxygen levels. It even works as an AED. So you see, in case we have somebody that goes into cardiac arrest, we can put the AED pads on them and try and hopefully bring them back to life. We can also look at people's heart rhythms. So if they're having chest pain, difficulty breathing, we can actually look at what their heart's doing and try and help kind of figure out what's going on in the field. We also carry in what we call our jump bag. So it's this really big bag. You can see we have an oxygen cylinder. We have some monitoring equipment to look at people's pulse. We have some tools like window punch and cutters. We carry oxygen equipment and then all kinds of gauze, band-aids, etc. in order to help people if they're bleeding, if they can't breathe, and whatnot. So on a typical medical scene, you'll see us with our jump bag, our monitor, and our gurney. All right, so next we're going to show you the paramedic profession. So I operate as a paramedic. I graduated paramedic school last year. If you're looking into that, it does require that you have your EMT certification, and you can go straight from EMT school to paramedic school. However, it is recommended that once you complete EMT school, that you go get some experience working on an ambulance or in a hospital somewhere as an EMT, and then transitioning on to paramedic school. So EMTs and paramedics have a different, what we call, scope of practice. There's some things that paramedics can do that EMTs can't. And this extra schooling helps you learn the skills to be able to perform those interventions. Now, some ways to get experience as an EMT: you can apply for a job at a hospital. Hospitals employ EMTs in all different floors and lots of different positions. You can apply for a private ambulance company. You can apply for a fire department that hires civilian EMTs and paramedics, meaning that you don't have to go through a fire academy in order to work for them. Or you could look for a local volunteer fire or EMS agency. Those are really great ways to get some experience so that you can put it on your resume, say that you've had patient contacts to further your knowledge and your skills in order to get hired somewhere else. So now I'm going to show you some of the equipment that is very specific to a paramedic. Not only do paramedics use everything that EMTs use, but as you can see here, this is what we call a drug bag. So all these medications that you see here and some more are kind of exclusive to a paramedic. You'll have to go to paramedic school and get your certification in order to use these drugs. But no worries, that program teaches you all the different indications for using these drugs and how to use them. So we carry this around in case somebody's sick and in the field, we can help them with some of these medications. We don't carry as many as a hospital does, but it'll help us until we can get that person to the hospital. Some other things a paramedic can do that EMTs can't is intubate. So you guys may have seen these on movies or TV. This is called an ET tube, and this is our blade and handle. So sometimes when somebody's not able to breathe very well and we need to help breathe for them, we'll sedate them and then actually put this tube into their lungs and be able to breathe for them. Now that's a skill that is paramedic exclusive. As paramedics, we can also start IVs and administer medications. Now, depending on where you work, that is a skill that EMTs can learn. And another part of our scope of practice is what we call needle decompression. So we take this extra long needle, and sometimes if people can't breathe, but we know the problem is caused by a pocket of air in their lungs that's causing them not to breathe, we can take this needle and actually stick it into their chest to help let that air out. So those are all just a few different procedures and things that paramedics can do. All right, so for those of you looking into paramedic school is a little bit longer than EMT school. The paramedic program that I completed was 11 months from beginning to end. There are other programs that can take up to 2 years that are a little bit more spread out. It just depends on whichever program you're looking at. So if you're interested in paramedic school, I would first suggest looking into EMT school and getting certified, and then getting some job experience on an ambulance, either with another paramedic or with another EMT. And then from there, you can look into some community colleges in your area. Even some universities are starting to offer paramedic programs in the form of bachelor's degrees, and do some research. I would suggest talking with some people, getting to know kind of what interested them in the profession, and get to know the differences between an EMT and a paramedic, and see if that's something you like to do. So look around, see what's available in your area, and then once you feel like you're ready, go ahead and apply. Paramedic school entails a lot of studying, a lot of hours put in, and you'll have to do clinical rotations in a hospital, shadowing doctors, nurses, other paramedics, as well as clinical rotations on an ambulance.
If you're looking for a career in structural firefighting, you can do it one of two ways. You can either go to a fire department and do the fire academy through them, or you can do the more beneficiary method, which is through a community college, because that way you can get your college credit towards getting your fire science associates or higher education, and you can also get your fire 1 and 2 state certifications. What I'm standing in front of right here is the structural firefighting gear, which consists of your SCBA, which stands for self-contained breathing apparatus. You have your fire helmet, you have your face mask, and you have your bunker top, bottom, Nomex hood, and your gloves, and the boots. The standard time for putting all this gear on is 1 minute to put on the body gear, the PPE, and 1 minute to put on the SCBA as well. And that way you can get out the truck and head to the fire as quickly as possible. Now I'm going to demonstrate what is called the 2-minute drill, which consists of putting on my PPE and also putting on the SCBA bottle.
Go. so now I'm going to show you all the different parts of the firefighter gear that Firefighter Lopez has put on. So this is the typical get-up that you would see someone going into a house fire or a vehicle fire of some sort in. So he's got, like we said, his helmet, he's got a protective shield. Underneath that, he has his SCBA mask and breathing apparatus. So that noise that you just heard is a safety mechanism on our packs, and it goes off every 30 seconds. So if something happens, if Firefighter Lopez goes down in a house fire, his alarm is going to start sounding, and that's going to help people coming to rescue him find him. You'll see it has lights on the side that helps us identify him as well as to know how much air he has. So these SCBAs aren't oxygen, they're actually natural breathing air. So we have a special machine that pulls air from the outside and puts it into these bottles. This is what we call a 45-minute bottle. So these bottles come in different sizes and they have different amounts of air. Normally on a working house fire, vehicle fire, whatever, when Firefighter Lopez has this on, a 45-minute bottle will usually last him about 20 minutes of hard work. So you see we have the SCBA, he's got his turnout coat, pants, he's got special structured firefighter boots, as well as really thick gloves that are going to help keep the heat out and protect him when he goes into a house. As you can see here, Firefighter Lopez is also what we call clipped in. So this is called a regulator, and it hooks up to that SCBA bottle. So every time he takes a breath, there's what we call a positive pressure system that is pushing air towards his mouth that he's able to breathe, and that way he's breathing fresh, clean breathing air instead of breathing in the smoke, which can be very toxic.
I am firefighter EMT Lopez Rodriguez, and we're going to talk about wildland firefighting. In the wildland firefighter, this is the traditional PPE that we wear. It is composed of Nomex material. It is fire resistive, not fireproof. Typically, a wildland firefighter will carry a line pack, which is consisted of extra water, and you can also carry snacks in there, and you can also carry some extra tools for the fire line, and it typically weighs around 45 pounds. Other tools that we can carry in the fire line is a bladder bag, which is 5 gallons of water. We also have the McLeod, and then we also have Pulaski's, we have drip torches, and then also if we ever cut fence, we have crimps, we have another fence wire, and we also have the fence stretcher, as well as flares, which we can also use as if we run out of fuel for the drip torches. If you're ever considering being a wildland firefighter, you can either go to your state forestry service, BLM, or you can go to United States Forest Service. Or you can also work for a fire department that includes wildland firefighting. You may or may not need your EMT certification in order to be a wildland firefighter.
Hi, I'm Joseph DeWolf, the Fire Chief of the Sonoyta-Elgin Fire District. I've been with the district for 25 years. I started out as a volunteer. This would be my second career. I moved to a rural area of Sonoyta and got involved wildland firefighting. From there, I went into structure firefighting and moved my way up to a training captain. From training captain in 2002, I was appointed fire chief. We took it from a volunteer fire department all the way up to a combination fire department. Our objective was to create a training spot for volunteers to come in, get trained from a EMT to a paramedic to a fire 1 and 2 to a wildland up into an engine boss if that's the path they wanted to take, and be able to move on to a larger department and pursue this as a career on a full-time basis. Currently, we have 45 volunteers and 13 career personnel, and most of our volunteers range from the age of 18 on up to about 65. We have a lot of folks that are dispatchers for us. The younger crowd comes in, and some come with certs, some don't. We help them get their certs by sponsoring through college classes. We recommend a lot of the students take college classes because it's accredited and they can get their associate's degree or paramedicine degree through that. As I came up the chain, I went back to school and got a degree in fire science and fire administration. Once you receive your certifications as a firefighter and EMT and your associate's degree, your training doesn't stop there. Your training continues for the life that you're a firefighter. 25 years later for me, and I'm still taking classes. I instruct some classes now for recruitment and retention for volunteer organizations. I help departments figure out their budgets and how to manage a small rural fire department. So your career can take all different paths, walking into fire prevention, not just riding on the engine. There's a lot to do outside of that, doing a lot of wildland and EMS work. You can get into paramedicine, community paramedicine, which a lot of our fire departments across the country are starting to do to help out rural areas. We added EMS transports with ambulances. So we went from a rescue unit into a transport agency. We run 3 ambulances, run ALS staffing, which took us about 13 years to get there. So even a career as an administrator doesn't stop. It continues on with your educations and your planning and objectives of what you're going to do with your career.
Hey everybody, I'm Captain Meredith, and like a lot of you guys, I wanted to be a firefighter from the point I was really little. As a matter of fact, I had my 5th birthday party at a fire station in Pasadena where I grew up. But along the way, I got interested in some other things. I went to college and studied communications, actually started working at a college, recruiting other people to go there, and kept in that higher education path for a long time. Even went back and got another degree to help with that work. But something about the fire service and EMS never quite left me. So while I was still working on a college campus, I took a class to become an EMT, and then I started volunteering, first with the American Red Cross, doing first aid stations and helping out at shelters, and then moved out here and kept volunteering and got hooked up with a local volunteer fire agency, and from that point got connected with this volunteer fire agency where I work now, and had the opportunity to go to paramedic school. So I went to paramedic school, and then I went through fire academy, and now I'm a captain here, firefighter, paramedic. So just so you all know, if this is something you're interested in doing, you can absolutely do it. And if it takes you a little bit longer than you thought, don't worry about it, because I'm proof that you can do it at any point.
Hey guys, I'm firefighter paramedic Laird. I've been here at the Sonoyta Elgin Fire District for about 3 years now. Prior to that, in high school, I was looking at some different career paths. I kind of went back and forth as a kid. I wanted to be a chef. I looked into the military. I even looked at being a firefighter, but kind of quickly brushed over that. So in high school, started doing some different things. I got into sports medicine and some anatomy and physiology classes, and I really wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon. So in order to do that, I finished high school about a semester early. I enrolled at the University of Arizona and started pursuing a bachelor's in science in physiology. Now, the intention for that was to be my prerequisites for medical school. However, I think it was my first semester there, one of my best friends said that she was going to do EMT school because, for like a resume booster in order to help us get into medical school. I had never really thought about EMT or paramedic before, but I thought it sounded interesting, and if it would help me get into medical school, then why not? So I enrolled at a local community college, and that summer I did a summer class. It was about 3 months, and I obtained my EMT certification. That was in 2015. In the following year, 2016, I began as a volunteer EMT for the University of Arizona campus, and I worked day shifts, night shifts, just whatever I could fit in between classes and studying. And I volunteered alongside the city fire department and the private ambulance company in Tucson, and got a lot of really interesting experiences in EMT. Several of my friends up at the U of A also work down here for the Sonoyta Elgin Fire District, which is a combination department. So we have both volunteer personnel and career personnel. And I said, you know what, I want some experience on an ambulance too. I think that'd be really good. So I took my EMT certification and came down here in 2017 and began working as a volunteer EMT, and got to ride on the ambulances. And like our fire chief said, we are ALS staffed, so I worked alongside a paramedic, and I got to run calls with paramedics. I got to run calls with other EMTs. Now, this department also offers wildland and structure firefighting services. So in 2017, I was also able to obtain my wildland firefighter certification as a firefighter type 2, which is just a basic wildland firefighter. And since then, I've been responding to wildfires with the department whenever I'm on shift, and I've gotten some experience that way. And the more that I kept working here, I eventually kind of figured out I liked the pre-hospital setting, being an EMT and wildland firefighter a little bit more than I wanted to go to medical school. So I changed my degree path from physiology to psychology and public health. I was really into psychology. I took some of those classes at the U of A and I really liked them. And I was able to actually finish college a little bit faster if I took that path. So I switched my degree plan so that I'd be able to get my degree in something that I was interested in, but at the same time finish a little bit early so that I could start working towards my career a little bit more. So while I was still in college and while I was working out here, I was still volunteering as an EMT at the U of A. I started to teach CPR as well. I became a CPR instructor as well as a tutor for the EMT program, all just to kind of help, pass on some little things that I've learned in the field to other people, but also to work around other EMTs, other paramedics in order to learn more myself. Then I wanted to go to Fire Academy, so my department sponsored me and I was able to go to the local community college and take their Fire Academy. So I got my Arizona State Firefighter 1 and 2 certifications, as well as my Ropes 1 certification and my First Responder Hazmat certification. From there, I kept working as a volunteer here. I was finishing college. Eventually, a spot opened up at this department and I was able to get hired full-time. So I've been working as a full-time firefighter here at our fire district for about a year and a half now. And last year, I decided that I wanted to go to paramedic school to further my medical training. And so I went again to the local community college and completed their paramedic program. That was 11 months from start to finish, and it was a lot of academics, a lot of hands-on training, some skills labs and whatnot. And then we did lots of clinical rotations in a hospital, working alongside the nurses and doctors, as well as the other paramedics. And then we got to do ambulance rides. Well, I got to do vehicular rotations with city and rural fire departments and work alongside those paramedics and get to learn the tips and tricks of the field. And I've been working as a paramedic since November of last year now. So that was kind of my career path to get to here. All in all, after high school, I went to college. I went to a state university. I also went to community college to get my certifications. So now I have an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. The associate's degree will definitely help you at least, and a bachelor's degree isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's something worth looking into if you're interested. And a lot of colleges offer fire science programs. They offer bachelor's in paramedicine even, so you can either get your paramedic degree and then go on to get your bachelor's, or you can work towards your paramedic degree while you're doing your bachelor's. There's plenty of different ways to obtain those.
Hi, my name is Firefighter EMT Lopez Rodriguez, and I work here at Sonora Elgin Fire District. And the way I started off was, I've always wanted to be a firefighter, basically. Since I was a little kid, I've had birthday parties with firefighter cakes, balloons here and there. So after high school, I was debating whether to go with architecture or on the fire side. And I remember walking into the U of A, into the architecture college, and it wasn't for me, sitting down and sketches and all this and that. I didn't put too much attention to it. But once I got into the fire side, I remember going into EMT for the first time back in 2016, and I really enjoyed the hands-on activities. I enjoyed the learning of how to help people here and there. It really brought joy to me, knowing that I could make someone's worst day feel like a little bit better at least. So from there, I went to the Fire Academy in 2017. I was 17-1 in the Fire Academy at Pima Community College. From there, I took a couple other classes in fire science. That way I can pursue the Fire Science Associate's degree. A couple unfortunate events happened, which led me to go into the Marine Corps, and that way I can follow my grandfather's footsteps. After graduating from that, coming back from MCT, MOS school, I came back and I found an opportunity to join Sonora Elgin Fire District. And I started off as a volunteer stipend, and then gradually worked myself up to be a full-time firefighter here, and that's where we stand today.
Hi, my name is Rosalia Vitella, and I'm an EMT here volunteering at the Sonoyta Fire District. I didn't originally want to be a firefighter in any way. When I was in high school, I was going to school to be a CNA, and about my sophomore year of high school, I just turned 16, and my foster mom had showed me this job with a local conservation corps. And so I did that for a summer, and I got to work with a hotshot crew, and I really enjoyed working with them. Their work ethic, their camaraderie, I just really enjoyed the environment. And so my junior year of high school, I was graduating, and I was still taking those CNA classes, and I realized that I didn't really want to do that career anymore. And so I dropped it, and I finished high school, and I moved down to Phoenix, Arizona, and I started going to Glendale Community College. And while I was there, I was just kind of taking general classes and looking into doing wildland firefighting. I took a wildland firefighting course, and I got all my certifications done. And I applied for a wildland job in Oregon, which I did for the summer of 2019. And then from there, I went to get my EMT. And while I was in EMT school, I met a lot of fire academy students, and they gave me a briefing on kind of what they were going to be getting into, and I would work out with them, and I had a lot of fun, and I gained a lot of interest from that. And so from there, I started looking into that and researching what I would need to do and who I needed to talk to get involved with that. And so I got my hazardous materials certification, working on my CPAT cert and all of that stuff to get ready to go to the fire academy. And so in preparation for that as well, I started volunteering here at the Sonoyta Elgin Fire District after meeting the fire chief at a previous job that I had at a hotel. And he informed me that they actually had a volunteer program down here in Sonoyta. And so I talked with Mr. Mark Bennett. I spoke with him, and he helped me get involved in setup so that I could start getting some experience as an EMT and working alongside fellow firefighters who can help me and set me up for my future career and my future path, which ideally for me would be to be a firefighter.